There are things of darkness and shadow that walk our world. They ever exist on that borderline between legend and reality, but sometimes they will cross over to encounter us. We must be ready for that engagement. We must stand strong and firm in our resolve to face the unknown and embrace the mystery. The time has come to go. Hunting the shadows. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am your humble host, Dennis Carroll, and this is another edition of Hunting the Shadows. Matter of fact, I've got my troll hunting glasses on tonight, and that's my good old mountain glasses. You got to have those on when you go troll hunting, and we're going to definitely do some troll hunting tonight, okay? Absolutely. And let me get the other kind of glasses on so I can see who we've all got in the room here with us. Welcome to the grotto. Let's gather in the grotto for episode 33 of Hunting the Shadows. Hello, I want to say hello to John Fortman, John Tim Prime. There's my good friend, the Cryptid Huntress, is in here. We had a fantastic show today. She and I and Barry Little, we got on the subject of the pale crawlers. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It's in my playlist, and or it's on her playlist as well. So go check it out if you missed it, because it was a fantastic show. We really had a great time with that. And I also want to say thank you for giving me a little bit of a promo there, Cryptid Huntress. I really appreciate that. I really do, my dear. From the bottom of my heart, I appreciate that. And want to welcome John. Let's see who else we've got here. I got John, yeah, and we've got my good friend Shiro is here, of course. Wild Man's mom, a little twisted, and Tinkerbell, and let's see who else we've got. Let's see, we got Crystal. Hello, Crystal, and Kimberly. Chip is here. Little Kilroy. All right, we're beginning to gather in here. We're going to have an interesting show tonight. Hello, Robin, girl in her gong, and we're going to have a interesting show definitely on cryptids. What I call my series, Creatures of the Night. Okay, and I want to say this about that. Let me get my banner going here. Hold on just a second. There are more things out there. Okay, without a doubt, there are more things out there than just Bigfoot and Dogman. Okay, and that's what this series is going to be about. We're going to be talking about the other things that may be inhabiting our world, definitely, without a doubt. You're quite welcome, Cryptid Hunters. It's always a pleasure to be on your show, you know that. And I always look forward to it. Absolutely. It was good to finally get together with Barry Littleton, and all. We had a great time. And tonight we're going to get into trolls. Now I told everybody to check out, if you had a chance to check that Troll Hunter movie out that I talked about. It's free on Tubi, and it's not a horror movie per se. It's more of an adventure kind of a movie. It's not horror. You don't. It's not a slasher type horror kind of a thing. No, this is more or less like a monster movie. Okay, but it's a good adventure type movie as well, and all that. So check out The Troll Hunter. Okay, but I do warn you, it is filmed in Sweden. It's in Swedish, but you got English subtitles. You have to read this movie, but it's worth watching. Believe me, it is a great movie. I mean, it made me want to go troll hunting with them, definitely. And trolls are an interesting thing. We first heard about trolls in our childhood. Okay, they inhabit our fairy tales. And I've said this about these things. Sometimes they come out of it, they leave our fairy tales and end up in our nightmares. And a troll would definitely be one of these things. Let me say something about trolls, okay? There's certain things you got to remember about trolls. If you are a Christian, you cannot hunt trolls, okay? You cannot hunt trolls because they will smell you, okay? They will smell you coming, so you cannot hunt trolls. So if you're a Christian or if you believe in God or whatever, you cannot hunt trolls. That's it. So you have to put that aside because you don't want the trolls to know you're coming. Okay, that's the bad thing about that. And here's another thing about the trolls. And I'm gonna put a little picture up here in just a moment. Let me throw it up right quick for you. This is sort of a rendition of a troll. It looks to me more like a Bigfoot in a way, but if you'll look at it, it's really not hair that's on that thing. That's its rocky skin. Now, a troll is supposed to have, one thing they left out of this picture, trolls are said to have horns on the top of their head, sort of like buffalo horns, not as big as buffalo, very short horns like. But that's what your rendition of a troll is, okay? And that would be a mountain troll, okay? And there's two different kinds of trolls we're going to talk about tonight. Woodland trolls and mountain trolls. Your mountain trolls can be anywhere from 12 to 100 foot tall, supposedly. Whereas in your woodland trolls are about 8 or 10 foot tall. So they're shorter guys, and they're the ones that also hang around bridges, okay? And we're going to talk about that in a little bit about that. But that's the interesting thing about trolls. Now, it's very incredibly hard to kill a troll because, like I said, their skin is rocky. It's like hard as rock. It's if any of you have ever ridden an elephant, if you've ever ridden an elephant, you will understand how tough skin can be. I mean, an elephant has very, very tough skin. Matter of fact, I had a belt once upon a time. I got it somewhere around here, made out of elephant skin, and that's one of the toughest belts that I have ever owned. And you will also notice if you ever get on an elephant, they are very hairy things. They don't look like it from a distance. When you get close up on them, they have a lot of hair on them. And that hair can be like porcupine quills. I'm leaving it. It was an uncomfortable ride for me anyway. Next time I say I'm going to ride an elephant, I will bring my saddle, okay? But anyway, there is an overlap between, between trolls and giants. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But some of the most famous giants and trolls of our childhood were like of course, we all know who the Jolly Green Giant is, and all, and we all know about the giant Fee-Fi-Fo-Fum with Jack and the Beanstalk. He's a very famous guy too, and of course the Cyclops, from Greek legend. You've got a lot of interesting giants, and trolls are the mountain trolls would be considered giants because of their immense size. But like I say, here's the interesting thing. You can be looking up a hillside and a troll, you'd be looking right at a troll and not even see it because it can hunker down and look like a rock on the side of the hill. It look like a boulder. And when you turn your back, it will move, probably, and you won't know it. But that's the interesting thing. They have a natural camouflage for the mountain trolls do, because of that rocky hide. Bullets will bounce off of it, spears and knives, any kind of sharp instrument, arrows will bounce off of a troll, okay? So there's a certain way you go about taking down a troll. And the number one weakness of a troll is sunlight. Sunlight hits them, boom, they turn into rock. They turn into rock then, real rock, and permanently. They turn into real rock, or they will explode. Sometimes they will. The woodland trolls have a tendency to explode instead of turn into rock. But the interesting thing, I'm a big fan of J.R.R. Tolkien, and Tolkien talked about an incident, with the Hobbit Bilbo. We ran into those three trolls, and they were deciding something. Here's another thing about trolls: they are cannibals. They love to eat people. Okay, they will eat anything. Matter of fact, trolls will eat anything. They will eat your goats or your chickens, your cows. They will eat anything. And I think the reason why they have such a voracious appetite, look how big these guys are. Takes a lot of food to keep them from being hungry. So definitely that's a problem if you ever run into a troll. Most of the time, they're going to be hungry, and they will eat you if you don't watch out, okay? You have to be very careful about that. So that's the interesting thing about trolls, okay? And you got to be very careful how you approach a troll, because they have excellent hearing, sight, and everything. Although they tend to be, listen, here's another little bit of a weakness they have. They tend to be a little bit dumb. They tend to be a little bit not all there. A few fries short of full order there. You know what I mean? And they're easy to trick sometimes, okay? They're very animalistic in that way. They're not, you could never civilize a troll, okay? I don't think you could ever catch one and have him perform in a circus for you. I don't think that's going to happen. So that's the interesting thing about trolls, especially the mountain trolls. They're very violent and very destructive. The woodland trolls seem to like lurk around and hang out and waiting for the opportunity to get you, or get your goat under the bridge, whichever the case may be. And we all know how that went. So they hide in these places, like under bridges, around crossroads, mountain passes, different places like that. And so you'd have to say, if you're in the troll territory, which can be anywhere, okay, especially if you're in the mountains or you're in the woods, that's where you're going. Trolls do not hang out around civilization and cities, because, and if you've ever met a troll, you would understand why. They're just not good, fun guys to have around in your neighborhood, okay? You would not want them in your neighborhood. I think the turning to stone is the most distinct defining feature of a troll, John says. Gargoyles don't actually come alive as in the cartoon, or like a spiritual totem. Yeah, the interesting thing about trolls, they, like I say, they can disguise themselves as rocks. They have skin like stone. So it would be a natural thing for if you hit them with sunlight, and that's the main weapon that you have to use against them. Now you can carry, like in that troll movie I talked about, the guy's got a neat gun that shoots ultraviolet light, and that's how you would do it. You'd have to have something like a sun lamp to take care of a troll, and that would be your number one weapon, because guns are useless. Mortars would be useless against this. Okay. You're barking up the wrong tree. So you got to go about this, whatever his weakness is. And as Jessica knows, and I've talked to her about this before, whenever you got a monster that you're talking about, and you come up with a monster, I always look for its weakness first. Now, I always feel better if I know I can dispatch it if I need to. Okay, I would think more than twice about taking on a troll, because they would be incredibly hard to get rid of. And the troll is not that stupid. He's not going to come out in daylight. He's not going to be caught in daylight if he can help it. Although they can be fooled into that sometimes. Like I say, they're not all working on all cylinders there. So you might get lucky and fool them to keep after you until daylight or something. But I wouldn't bank on that. Okay. So an ultraviolet gun would be the right way to go, okay? And it would take an awesome battery to go with it, so there you go. So you better be ready for that incident. Okay. Well, think of the non-trolls that turn to stone in sunlight. Well, there are supposedly some other creatures. Goblins are supposed to turn to stone. The traditional goblins are supposed to turn to stone if you catch them in daylight. There are several other creatures that will do that. But the troll, here's the interesting thing about the trolls, and I think, Jessica, as a matter of fact, she had this on her show one time that we talked about this, well, thank you, dear, is a absolute thing about giants turning into stone or looking like parts of a mountain, peaks and all that. Um, That's interesting to me. And we have supposedly seen the remnants of these giants, and they would be called trolls in that respect because your mountain giants were that. They're interchangeable. They're both the same thing in that respect. But they have that fallacy about daylight hitting them. Yeah, petrified giants. And you have a lot of rock formations throughout the world that, honest to gosh, look like petrified giants. There's a reason for that. Sometimes men may have manipulated the rocks and maybe carved them a little bit, but some of this stuff is naturally occurring, or is it? You have to wonder about that. There are other things besides just so-called giants. You see a lot of animals, large animals represented, petrified and all that in certain instances. So you have to wonder what's going on with that. That is an interesting facet of it all. Well, when you getting back to trolls, though, the interesting thing about trolls is their cannibalistic tendencies. They would even try to eat each other. They're just like voracious sharks in the water. You know how sharks, when you throw chum to the sharks, they will turn on each other. Okay, trolls are very much like that. Okay, because like I said, they have voracious appetites. So that might be another way. If you could trick them into eating an ultraviolet bomb, that would take care of them. So they have their weaknesses, and they have that animalistic tendencies about them. So I could see where a monster hunter would definitely, not have that hard of a time if he goes about it the right way to take a troll down. In the movie I talked about, when you turn a troll, a lot of these, they were trying to keep trolls secret. They didn't want everybody in mind. That's what I liked about this movie. It goes into some like government conspiracy, because the government is trying to keep the existence of trolls secret. So they blame all of this troll killing, they kill sheep and cows and all that, on bears. And they actually kill bears and bring them in and leave them as an excuse of what this really happened. I won't tell you anymore because it messed the movie up for you. It's really neat how this plays out. Whoever thought this movie up was great about it, and they intertwine the troll history in with this, so it's really neat. Huge statues have been broken, shows ligament tendons and origins. Yeah, I've heard of that. That you have to wonder, what is that? That's the way it is with petrified trees. As a matter of fact, I have a part of a petrified tree from the petrified forest in California. My uncle gave me years and years ago. I have it here in the museum, and you can still see the wood grain in it. I mean, it's just wood turned to stone. That's what it is, basically. And and if you can do that with wood, I think you certainly do that to a certain extent with living matter. Because wood is living matter in a certain way. Eating an ultraviolet bomb, it's like the time John Constantine tricked a demon and drinking beer brewed from water. Yeah, beer brewed from holy water. Yeah, that was an interesting thing, wasn't it? That's the thing about Constantine. He was very innovative. Okay. Some can be said of packs of wild dogs unaliving people when it might be a Dogman or other cryptids. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of things get the blame for some things. Some of it may be government things too, Jessica, but definitely a lot of things. I think there's a lot of. Here's the thing about cryptozoology. I think a lot of things are getting misconstrued by people in these instances. And I've actually. And I'm not going to get on that subject tonight, but I've actually seen people say, "Oh, that's a Bigfoot track," when it's actually a bear stepping in its own track twice. I mean, it's very obvious what this is. And if you're going to be a cryptozoologist and all that, you definitely want to learn tracks and nature and all that. You can't just go out and say, it's this, it's that, You need to back it up with absolute proof. It's like Carl Sagan says, extraordinary extraordinary claims need to be backed up with extraordinary proof. Okay, that's the way that goes. But that's what I like about people like Jessica and all that. That we spent time out in the woods. We know what we're looking at. We've trained ourselves this way. Like I told somebody last night on my show, I stayed out in the woods so much when I was a kid. I built my own log cabin. I was like David Crockett, Daniel Boone. I love the forest. For many, many years, I wanted to live there. I mean, that was me, And that's what you've got to do when you get into this kind of thing like cryptozoology, which is the fascinating part of the paranormal fields. You got to learn your stuff. You can't just go out there and I'm sure Jessica and some of the others, we've seen this happen before. People that are not really versed in what they're doing. You read a few books and they think they're cryptozoologists. They can run out in the woods and do whatever they want to. And, that's the way I said about demonology. Just because you read a few books on demonology does not make you a demonologist. You have to engage in spiritual warfare. You have to stay in the field. And that's what I like about boots on the ground in the field research. You can do all the research you want on computer. That's fine. You can learn a lot of valuable stuff like that, but you will never learn what you need to learn without those boots on the ground in the forest thing. Okay, that's just the way that goes. And people need to realize that. Experience, my friends, is the best teacher of all. Okay, never forget that. The innards of statues also brings to mind the possibility of lost technology and 3D printing. That's a possibility too. I was telling this to somebody the other day about what the Bible says, and I think I said this last night on my show. It says a very interesting statement. If you think something is new, no, it's not. It's from old. It's from old times before. There is no new thing under the sun. And what men have invented before could definitely have been invented in the past. Men are that way. That's the way mankind works. Okay. Do trolls live in a hole in the ground? I may have encountered one that walked around. Trolls traditionally live in caves. Okay. And that's what we were talking about on Jessica's show today. We're talking about the cave systems and how a lot of there's some freaky stuff going on with the underground subterranean caves and stuff like that. And that is where trolls are supposed to live, unless they live under a bridge. Those are the woodland trolls, okay? The woodland trolls are a different breed. We're going to talk about them a little bit more. I'm talking more now about the mountain trolls. Mountain trolls definitely live in caves. They're all about rocks and stone, okay? They're sort of elemental in that way. They're tied more to the earth via rock and stone. Now, the woodland trolls are more tied to the forest kind of a thing. And they look a lot like, not exactly, but a little bit like a goat man. But they have more, like I say, more of the hair on them. They've got the little short horns, but they have a monstrous look about them. They don't look anything like goat man has been described, or the god Pan, or whatever you want to talk about in that realm. The woodland trolls look like the mountain trolls, only a smaller version of them, but they don't have that rocky exterior as much. It's still there, you understand. Their hide is still incredibly tough, and like I say, a spear ain't gonna do it. An arrow ain't gonna do it. You might well forget your compound bow, okay? It just ain't gonna work on the troll. And like I say, sunlight. Unless the only other way you could kill a troll is to get him to eat himself or eat another troll for you. Like I say, they're dumb enough to be tricked into that. Like I say, they're voracious eaters. They always want to eat something. They can never get full because being big, it takes a lot to run that machine, Well, there's a hole flat in ground or a hole in a hill. Well, to me, a cave is a cave. You could call it a hole. It would look like, some caves do look like a big hole till you get in it. I've crawled in a couple like that. They look like a big hole in the ground till you get down there and you find out you're in a cave system, in that way. in that respect. Yeah, Woo Rise the Pig Man. Yeah, that's another. We'll be talking about him very soon, probably. You get your drive machine meant for castle walls. Yeah, those aren't too bright. No, they're not. They're not. The bulb is not real bright in there. No. I say the time saying about spirit possession. No experience being possessed in presence of spirit possessed. That's the only expert. Well, when you deal with spiritual warfare in that respect, and I'm not going to get into demonology now, but when you deal in spiritual warfare, just like any warrior under fire in a battle, you learn when to duck, when not to. Okay, that's the way that goes. Siege machines not right. Oh yeah, siege machines. Yeah, all are correct. Is a definite curse on society. John. It's interesting how they seem to be ignored by society in general. Oh, wow, interesting topic and very few details about them. Absolutely, walking lightly. Trolls, that's why I want to talk about trolls tonight. You never hear a whole lot about them. They're a very interesting thing. And they also are known to kidnap children, of course, and eat them. So if you're not a good little boy or girl, the trolls will get you, okay? That's another thing about trolls. They're sort of the boogeyman. Back in medieval times, they were looked upon very much like that. Is that, the thing that's out there in the night that will get you. Trolls have something called predator with. Billy Goes Gruff is my favorite troll story, John. Yeah, that's a good one. That's why I mentioned that about hanging out around bridges. That's an interesting one. That is a fairy tale with a troll in it. Absolutely. It's true the trolls don't seem to be the sharpest tool in the shed. That movie actually hints that power lies in size rather than brains. Absolutely. And you can use that to your advantage. Okay, just like Ulysses, he used this thing up here against the Cyclops. The Cyclops was an incredibly large giant, or troll, if you want to call him that. Of course, you remember he had just the one eye. He used his disadvantage of the Cyclops. He wasn't real smart either. He wasn't a bright bulb either. And he used that. And that's what you got to do. You got to be smarter than your enemy or your predator or the prey that you are the predator of. You got to be smarter. If not, you're not going to get anywhere. True, those shows don't seem to be. Let's see what we got here. But anyway, that is the interesting thing about trolls. You can trick them pretty easy if you know how, if you go about it the right way. Absolutely. But now, the interesting thing about being a Christian and not being able to hunt trolls is founded in fairy tales, supposedly, where that if you are a good Christian person, trolls could smell you coming from a mile off, and they didn't want anything to do with you because they was kind of afraid of you because you were on the side of good. Because trolls being painted as the boogeyman, the bad guy, he didn't want anything to do with the good aspects of the world. And that's why if you were a Christian, they didn't want to mess with you, but they could smell you and hunt you down quicker that way, though, because they had a scent on you. And trolls operate very much like dogs. They go by the scent. So they can smell you. And that's why you have to kind of, like when you deer hunt, you put the deer scent on you. You need to put the troll scent on you if you're going troll hunting, because they have an incredible, great way of smelling things. Okay, they have incredible scent capacity. So that's another thing about trolls you got to watch out for. Okay, they can smell you coming from a mile off. All right, and I smell the blood of an Englishman. That's right. That's the way that ball rolls. And but of course, being Christians, most of the Christian world has looked upon trolls as being evil and of course of the devil. I guess that kind of got thrown in with that fact, but I don't think Christians smell any different than anybody else. But that was just the thing they used to say. You could not hunt trolls because if you're a Christian, because they could smell you. Well, they could smell anybody, by the way. But I think you just kind of stood out a little bit more than in the crowd. Never heard of female trolls. They're all the same size as males. I don't think trolls propagate, although there may be some female trolls. I don't know. I never went out there trying to find out. But they must propagate. There are two-way things I've heard about trolls in that respect. That they are born out of eggs, like snakes or serpents. And also that if there are female trolls, They go in a cave, and you never know what kind of the birth cycle is because they're born in the caves. So nobody supposedly has ever seen a troll born. Okay, put it that way. Yep, it'll grind you up and make bread out of you. A troll wouldn't even bother with that. He'd just eat you. Okay. Yeah, there's female giants. I would think there would be female trolls, but you just don't see them as much. They kind of stay in the caves and letting the males go out and bring in people to eat. Probably. So like a lion pride. Okay. Only in reverse. Yeah, Holly was happy to listen to me. Oh, okay, Dragon Glade. I'm glad you're here. And I've experienced both male and female trolls on my YT channel. Yeah, Jessica, we've all run into the other kind of trolls, definitely. The internet trolls. Yeah, they're out there lurking around waiting. Absolutely. I've had my run-ins with them too. That's unfortunately one of the prices you pay for being on YouTube or on the internet. They come in both sexes, definitely. Some of them, I don't know what they are. I don't know if they're even human beings. Some of them, Jessica, I suspect may be demonic. Okay, I'm not sure about that, but I kind of have my bill. I have to wonder about that. Absolutely. If trolls lay eggs, they are not mammals. That means they wouldn't have this. The female troll might not. Well, that's the one thing, But look at the platypus. He's a mammal, and he lays eggs. Okay, so there you go. You got to think about unnatural history here. Also, I want to throw in something else tonight, and I'm going to talk about this. You remember I mentioned earlier, and I'll get back to trolls in a minute because I'm going to talk more about the woodland trolls. But I was having to think about this while I'm thinking about it. I want to show you a picture right quick. You might remember on a few shows back when I talked about nature turning against us. Okay. Nature will actually supposedly turn against us. Take a look at this. This is 100-pound hailstone that fell. Think about that a moment, folks. 100-pound hailstone. Okay. Look at it. That's somebody standing there with their hand on it. Okay. Could you imagine what 100-pound hailstone would do to you or your house or your car? Think about that a minute. And some people say, "Oh, that's ridiculous. There's no such thing." Well, there's the proof. 100-pound hailstone. Think about that a minute. That's like somebody throwing doggone boulders at you like a troll would. Okay. Okay, John. Glad you can make it, John Temperine. Glad you got it here. Anyway, like an animal falling on your head. I was going to see what you look like after you got hit with 100-pound hailstone, by the way. And by the way, in the book of Revelation, there is a part of a plague. You remember that men cursed God because there was a fall of 100-pound hailstones. There you go. That's not impossible, is it? Nothing here. Hello there, pill pitcher. Might need to bring my night vision goggles to spot those trolls. I haven't had and seen them, and you guys get a really decent and respectful crowd. You're lucky. Cool topics, cool crowd. Oh, thank you. Yeah, bring your night vision goggles. That's what I actually saw when I first had my run-in with Bigfoot. I saw him through the night vision goggles. It was an interesting thing. The one thing about night vision goggles after a while, I don't know if you've ever experienced them too much, they will hurt your eyes after a while. I mean, it's sort of like, reading in a bright room or something. And you have to kind of rest your eyes a little bit once in a while. I would advise you to do that. You don't want to damage your eyesight, or unless you get some of those goggles that Jessica had on her show about those Dyson goggles, that you can see demons with. I'd love to have a pair of them. I think I've got a pair of those around here somewhere. They come off a tank crew that I had, but anyway, I have to look them up one day. But anyway, I wonder if trolls will be warm or cold-blooded. I would think warm, but who knows? It's got that stone property there going on. They may be cold-blooded killers, okay? Absolutely. But I'll tell you one thing, they like warm flesh. They like to eat people and animals big time. Oh, yeah. Hey, Sweet Pea, good to have you here. Your battery's low, huh? Watching on TV. All right. That's what I like to watch YouTube on TV. Stone elemental beings feel cold, hearted, bloody to me. Yep, that's what it sounds like to me, too. If I catch a troll, I'll definitely let you know. Now, I want to talk about the woodland trolls a little bit. The woodland trolls can be kind of confused, like I was talking to Jessica just a few minutes ago. The woodland trolls, you could kind of confuse them with goblins because they're kind of acting in the same way. And I think sometimes the goblins, and I'll have to do a show one night on goblins, okay? Uh, I have a great poem about goblins on that. So, anyway, uh, Little Orphan Annie, if you never heard it, it's all about goblins. The goblins will get you if you don't watch out. Anyway, the interesting thing about that, sometimes they may get blamed for what they're doing. Maybe the woodland trolls get blamed for the goblins and vice versa. What's going on with that? But goblins have a little bit of the same properties. They can't come out in daylight. They will turn to stone too. But you could kill a goblin, per se. He doesn't have that rocky hide. You could probably do away with a goblin. And we all know that goblins are the basis for Tolkien's orcs. Okay, the orcs were bred so that they could go out in daylight because goblins can't, but they were bred from goblins, genetically speaking. So you have that interesting aspect of it too. But now the woodland trolls are very interesting to me, just as much as the mountain trolls. The woodland trolls are a little bit more secretive. You don't hear as much about them as you do the mountain trolls. They're the big guys. They get all the publicity. Okay, that's the way it goes with the big guys in this world. But now the woodland trolls are the ones that are really out after children more than the mountain trolls. The woodland trolls are blamed for a child abduction. Sometimes they would take children just to live with them. For what reasons, I don't know, make slaves out of them, work in their mines, or whatever it is they're supposed to be doing with them. But besides eating them, of course. That might have been part of the thing, too. So if you were a kid, you definitely did not want to wander in the forest alone, okay? Because you're troll bait, all right? So be careful with that. But the woodland trolls might kind of cut you a break. They might be a little leery of you and maybe not mess with you. Not like the mountain trolls who are very violent and will just come in and wipe you out. Tear you from pieces and eat you. Giants of fairy tales sometimes enslave humans. So yeah, that's supposed to be a part of that thing too. Like I say, the trolls and the giants are very interchangeable. That's the interesting thing about it. They're very interchangeable in the way we look at them. Although I don't think the Jolly Green Giant is a troll. He looks kind of like a nice guy, okay? Although he's green. But don't hold that against him, okay? But he looks like a kind of a jolly guy, okay? And I don't think he would be your troll type. I don't see him going around eating children, okay? Maybe he does. But that's the interesting thing about giants. That goes back to the Nephilim. And I'm not going to get on that tonight. But the Nephilim, the giants from the Nephilim era and all that, were supposedly cannibalistic. That's that cannibalistic quality you run into, that big taboo. You just don't eat people, And anything that does that is a bad guy. Definitely is not good to have around, By the way, it was supposed to be a true story of woodland trolls. Yeah, I've heard of that, yeah. And the woodland trolls are sort of like, I tell you what, some people say the woodland trolls were very much like elves gone bad, kind of a thing. They were like fairies or elves that just went bad to the dark side, you might say. And so they're out eating people and everything, whereas in the other fae don't usually do that. Jolly Green Giant's vegetarian, absolutely. I don't think he eats meat. But hi, Sweet Pea. Be careful, Sweet Pea. We're talking about the Jolly Green Giant. He's a vegetarian, okay? Anyway, Jolly Green Giant, yeah. So anyway, the interesting thing about the interchangeability of the Nephilim giants were monsters. Okay, they weren't just big people. You got to remember this, and this goes in with the trolls, and that's why I'm tying them in together here for a moment. They were described as horrific monster-looking things. Human women supposedly had these things, and by the way, when human women birthed these, they didn't birth them in a normal way. They would explode out of these women. They would just tear their way out of these women. Okay, they were monsters. They're not. This was a very unnatural thing. There was nothing natural about the Nephilim in that respect. Although they had human qualities, slight human qualities to them, they would tear their way outside of these, from out of these women. You're talking about monsters here. You're talking about a race of monsters, and that's what the Nephilim were. And if there are trolls, they would definitely be kin to the Nephilim. They would definitely be part of that. Absolutely. Kathleen says, I ride my horse in the woods a lot. Am I safer on my horse in general? I would say, I don't know. I don't know about that. Your horse might be bait too, because like I say, a troll will eat anything. It'll eat anything. Okay. And I would think the horse would smell more than you do. And so it might be drawn to the horse more than it might be to your human scent. Okay. But there again, I haven't got any trolls to ask about that for sure. I can't say it. I'm not a troll expert. Okay. Marie says, like the Titans. Yes, they were very much like the Titans. And you hear this mentioned a lot in Norse mythology. The frost giants were very much like the Nephilim in that respect. I think all of this, my friends, is a racial memory imprinted in mankind from the day of the Nephilim. Okay, and I think this is another marker, a pointer that points back to the Nephilim, of the giants and the trolls and things like that, the monsters that we've talked about. They are it, okay? They are a pointer to once upon a time when there was a race of monsters in this world. And I think some of that race, I know without a doubt, still exists. What the heck is Sasquatch? You know, and there's you, and then you've got the mystery of Esau in the Bible, born with all that red hair on him. You've got some Nephilim DNA still out there, okay? Absolutely. The Nephilim, and I've talked about this before, the Nephilim presence is still in this world. It's never gone away, and it won't until the end of time, until the Nephilim thing is completely done away with. Has anyone seen tiny lights? They get really close to your face and zip away. Wouldn't have been a mini strip. I don't think so. No. Well, those would be more kind of like the will-o'-the-wisp kind of things. But let me say this about the tiny lights, Sweet Pea. Sometimes you will see spiritual energy as you will see spiritual energy manifest as like small globes of light or orbs of light. That may be what you're picking up on. You may be seeing some spiritual energy going on with that, you know. Yeah, I've seen those tiny lights. They flicker. I thought it was because I had lots of concussions. It could be that. It could be a medical thing too, but it could also be that you are picking up on spiritual energy. It takes different forms like that. Orbs, I see them in my backyard. Use my camera on my cell phone. Now, you know, let me say this again for the record. There are different kinds of orbs. I can make all the orbs you want on a day when it's raining or misty. Light picks up on the orbs, and I had somebody send me a thing not long ago and say, hey, take a look at this. And he got it on a security camera, and you see this globe like slowly come into line, and then it brightens up. You could see through it at the beginning. What is that? That's a water droplet, okay? I mean, it's very simple. That's what that is. It's either a dust mote or a water droplet. You see them all the time. But then you get a different kind of an orb that seems to have an intelligence about it. It moves around objects, and it's not a bug. Okay, it's nothing like that. Once you rule that out, you're dealing with some type of a spiritual manifestation or energy. Okay, without a doubt. I've seen that with my own eyes. I've seen ghost lights with my own eyes out in cemeteries. They may be naturally occurring, but it's just an unknown thing we don't know about. I don't know. Some of that may be natural, but some of it has an intelligence with it, without a doubt. What if Bigfoot's the missing link can't appear that humans were genetically created from in case we need a population reboot? That's an interesting supposition, but I don't know. I think you could go about it better than using Bigfoot. I think you could, like, in some of these secret underground bases, you could save all the genetic material you wanted and choose. Just in my opinion, I don't know. Yeah, spiritual makes sense. I'm surrounded by spirits and it's like glitter, but better. Yeah, that is to me. I have heard many times, seen it myself. Spiritual energy manifests that way, and sometimes it'll pop. Sometimes it'll disappear with a pop or a noise, a sound that it'll make. Sometimes, not every time. I have a photo somewhere of a bright blue orb appearing on by my Siamese cat. Yeah. Well, now, like I say, if you study the orbs real close, you will finally understand what I'm talking about. Some of them being dust motes, some of them being water droplets. You can see the differences in them, okay? And you do not usually see through an orb, okay? If you can see through an orb, usually it's probably a water droplet or a dust mote of some sort. When my horse spooks, I listen and don't push him to go somewhere he acts scared of. Absolutely, Kathleen. Pay attention to that animal because they have a sensory perception that we do not have. That's when I used to investigate with my dog. I trusted him over any scientific instrument around. He was a supreme investigator. He knew his stuff, and he didn't tell a lie. He didn't give you his opinion. He told you exactly what he was experiencing. And animals are that way, and we need to pay attention to animals. When I am in the forest, I pay attention to all the animals around me, the birds, the bees, whatever's moving around me. I pay attention to them because they can tell you things that you need to know. It was a bad time, and I'm okay. Well, that's good. Well, it didn't make you feel bad. It made you feel good. You got to go by the way you feel a lot of times. Sometimes, like I say, if it's a spiritual thing, if it hurt you or bothers you, it's not usually a good thing. But if it makes you feel good or gives you calm and peace, then it may be a good thing, okay? That's how you test the spirits that you encounter, Let's see. I love Siamese cat, yeah. I like Siamese cats. They're fighting cats, by the way. They're neat. Yeah, Zach loved to investigate. He was and I put that on the internet the other day. He even had his own badge. He had his own ID badge. He was paranormal canine unit. He was good. Just took me on a walk to the creek today. Okay, he looks like he's feisty boy. I believe he's nice. And the dogs will exercise you. Absolutely. They give you good exercise. They need exercise and they will exercise you. I think Crystal knows that too. I think Crystal gets exercise with her dog. River. I think his dog named River. Yeah. Is Gus a cat? No, Gus is a dog, I think. I think. Oh, Ricky. Siamese was Ricky. You can train dogs and cats to do different things. If people don't realize that, other than just roll over and play dead or shake your hand, dogs, especially dogs, are very attuned to a formula that you give them the way that you want them to do. Zach could pick up on EMF fields. I think he could sense EMF. Oh gosh, way too much. Yes, that's right. Gus is a cool. Yeah, Gus is a cool dog. I like him. And fairy tales have solo trolls. Yeah. Well, fairy tales are the interesting thing. I have been fascinated by fairy tales. Well, fairy tales are folklore to a certain extent. Okay, it's just sort of not a not a personalized folklore. It's more of a community kind of a folklore. Everybody gets in on it, And we all know the different fairy tales. And like I said about fairy tales before, they were horrific stories. These were not bedtime stories, folks. Some of this stuff, I mean, look at Red Riding Hood. That's a werewolf story, pure and simple. And the wolf eats Grandma and Little Red. In the real story, he eats Little Red Riding Hood too. The woodman comes in and cuts the wolf open and gets Grandma and Red Riding Hood out of the wolf. I mean, that is bloody stuff here, okay? That's not what you'd probably tell your kids at bedtime kind of thing. They were the medieval version of a horror movie. That's what they were. Okay, walking lightly. Have a good rest. Glad you could make it. But that's your troll thing tonight. I wanted to get into that. I'm gonna be doing a series on this creatures of the night. Okay. And like I say, I want to get into some. I'm gonna get into some you've never heard of before. That's the interesting part. I call it the unknown cryptozoology. You never hear about, That's what I like to get into. And there are a lot of Native American. I've been doing a lot of it on my Facebook. There are a lot of Native American folklore and stories that will blow your mind. Okay. And that's fascinating too. Of course, I have studied folklore from all over the world, Japanese and Chinese folklore, India, Hindu folklore, like the Rakshasa. That's a bad dude right there, definitely. So you've got a lot of things in folklore that are fascinating stuff. And we need to mind the folklore, okay? Absolutely. Because it can tell us a lot of things and enlighten our world and broaden our horizons. That's the good thing about it, We don't want to stay in a rut. And I've had people actually come up to me and said, I'm so sick to death of hearing about Bigfoot and Dogman. Is there something else we can talk about? I say, sure, there's a ton of stuff out there. It's not just that. Although, as fascinating as Sasquatch and Dogman are, and like I say, I know without a doubt, for me, I know without a doubt Sasquatch exists. Okay, there's no point in me saying, well, is he out there? Is he out there or not? I know he's out there. Okay, I mean, we met face to face. We made eye contact. Okay, but there are other things out there too. That's my point. I'm not trying to get down on anybody with the Sasquatch and the Dogman. It's fascinating, absolutely, and it'll never be boring to me. But there are other things as well. All right, thank you, Kathleen. And Deer Woman, oh yeah, there's some wild stuff out there. That Deer Woman thing sounds downright demonic to me. I mean, is it something not deer? It's called the not deer. It looks like a deer, but it's not a deer. Now, here's the interesting thing. Skinwalkers get blamed a lot for some of this, and when it's not skinwalkers doing that, okay, some of it, not all of it. So, you got to be very careful. Yeah, the girl on the gong, Hindu folklore is interesting. Oh, yes, Hindu folklore is fascinating stuff. I've studied the folklore of the world. I've studied the Eskimos. They have a bear god, by the way. They have a lot of beliefs in polar bears and stuff like that, some wild stuff. Even the Polynesian folklore is fascinating stuff. I mean, it doesn't matter where it comes from. It's still interesting. Is all get out. Mothman. Oh, yeah, Mothman, of course, he's been kind of done to death, too. But Mothman is interesting. I think in some aspects of Mothman, he is downright demonical. And I try not blame everything on the demonic, but you got to wonder about some of these things having a demonic connection to them, And we do know, if you've been, I'm going to say this, you cannot have been in the paranormal field, whether you're a cryptozoologist or whatever you are in the paranormal field, and that's an umbrella term, okay? Without a doubt, sooner or later, you will run into the demonic, okay? And I can understand some people who deny that the demonic truly exists. You're wrong, badly wrong, because I know without a doubt it is real, okay? And its influence is all encompassing in many areas. Like I say, it's like, and I've said this before about the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. They're in everything in our world. They're stealing everything that when we invent something, they immediately steal it. They are in every aspect of our society, and a lot of people ignore that. Oh, and hopefully it'll go away. That's not a good idea. Well, the demonic is the same way. It's in every aspect of our society, whether we want to believe it or not. It has integrated itself in amongst a lot of things, and that includes cryptozoology, I believe, without a doubt. Just like Jessica and I talked about on her show, Day with Barry, the government always has a hand in these things because the government weaponizes everything. The government goes in and says, hey, can we make a weapon out of this? Can we use it for our own benefits? That's the way the government works. Okay. Of course, they don't care about you. It's all about the government. The bureaucracy is the supreme being. Okay. And that's the way they work these things. And so is the demonic. They're always looking for that advantage and that opportunity. And don't think without a doubt they'll take that opportunity when they get it. That's one thing. And let me say this about the demonic, and I'm not going to get on demonic tonight, but let me say this one thing about them, okay? They never fail. It's one thing you can be sure that they will do. They never fail to take an opportunity, okay? That might be their weakness if you use it the right way. They never fail to take an opportunity. And that's how they roll, okay? And that's how the government rolls. And that's what you got to deal with out there. The new Tulpa Chicken Man down the Chicken Man. How about Monkey Man? They're making a movie about that Monkey Man. But anyway, Chicken Man's Baba Yaga's house pet probably. It's chicken legs on the house. Yeah, definitely. Baba Yaga is not Keanu Reeves, by the way. Okay, she's a woman. But they call him Baba Yaga in the John Wick movies. Kind of hoping for unicorns. I'm gonna have to do a thing on unicorns. Unicorns are fascinating. Unicorns symbolize innocence and purity of the virgin. That's what they basically are. They are virginal impersonation of innocence. They are the things of the innocent childhood of fairy tales. The unicorns are fascinating. The unicorns mentioned in the Bible, by the way, but I don't think it's the unicorn you're thinking about. I think they were actually talking about rhinoceros. But a rhinoceros does look a little bit like a horse with a horn on his head. Okay, that may be where that's going with that. Unicorns are in Scotland. Yeah, oh yeah. That's the one place that they're found, definitely. Yeah, I believe without a doubt there may have been something. My favorite was Pegasus, the flying horse. That's my favorite. I would love to have one of those. Oh God, it'd be neat. Fly around on that. Pegasus or Griffins. Griffins, I don't know. Griffins might eat you up when they got through flying around with you. I would go with Pegasus. He was neat. The interesting thing about some of this stuff, you mentioned the tulpa. The human imagination is a very powerful thing. And you would not believe, and I talked about this at Christmas time, how many thousands upon thousands of eyewitness accounts of people seeing Santa Claus. Did they make Santa Claus a real being with their belief? You have to wonder about that. You really do. Because faith being a very powerful thing, faith is believing, okay? It's a very powerful thing. If it can move mountains, it certainly could create something like that. If you're not careful. And a lot of people do not understand, knowing a lot about the occult as I do. One of the precepts of witchcraft, dark witchcraft especially, is the mindset and the chanting over and over and over again, the imagery, the imaging what it is you want. You image it. You're almost willing it into existence. Okay? That's an interesting part. And I say people need to be very careful with that because that's a two-edged knife, a two-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Be very careful with that. You might be careful what you wish for. You might get it. You might get a unicorn one day. You never know. But anyway, what is this? Lots of plenty of unicorns at the yoga studios. There you go. You want to really believe in Santa. Some people, and here's the interesting thing about John Ford. There was really once upon a time a real Santa Claus. Go back and watch my Christmas program. I did a actual thing on Santa Claus. Um, but there are every year thousands of reports, and I just seen him in a sleigh. I've seen him in houses, putting things on the Christmas tree. People actually said they saw this. Have we brought Santa Claus to life with our belief system? You have to wonder. I'll focus on unicorns and Vegases. There you go. I would, because the unicorn, yeah, there's one thing about the unicorn, okay? Got to watch out for that horn, because it looks like it would give you a nasty poke if you got in the wrong direction of that horn. Have to be careful with that. If that unicorn throws his head the wrong way one day, you might get your eye poked out. Vibrational words can heal, kill, create, and manifest. Yep, it's true. I work in a healing group with Carol Page, Psychic, and Little Rock, who's been on psychic investigation. We all been attacked by the demonic. All of us have broken bones and needed stitches. The demonic is very real, Kathleen. And I cannot understand people who ignore it or say it does not exist. They're stupid. I'm sorry to say that. There ain't no excuse for stupidity, okay? There's an excuse for ignorance. You just didn't know. You didn't know, but there is no excuse for stupidity. And this is something that's very real in this world and very detrimental if you're not careful with how you deal with it. People do not realize that. And you're part of the work. That's good. We need people out in the field that understand what they're dealing with and how to help people with these problems because they are very prevalent. You got to remember one thing about the demonic. They not only feed off of negativity, they feed off of acknowledgement. You got to understand that. That's like I said about that two-edged knife. It cuts both ways. You better be very careful. The more you acknowledge them, the more power it gives them in that respect. You don't want to acknowledge them in the bad way. You don't want to give them any attention. That's how you take their power, a lot of it, away from them. Absolutely. I read a psychology book, The Lion and Unicorn. People either a lion or a unicorn. Well, I'd rather be a lion. Thank you. I'm a Leo anyway. So there you go. I'm a lion. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, Midwest. Let's put that up for everyone. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And it's good to know I always got you on my six there, son. And I really appreciate it. And we are getting up there past. We're over 600, so let's keep going, And my friend Jessica, we celebrating today for her. She has 8,000 subscribers. Wow. That's something else. That is quite a milestone. Let's give her a big hand, definitely. She deserves that. She put a lot of hard work, time and effort into that, though. It didn't just come, okay? You got to remember, it takes a lot of hard work and effort to get that way. Absolutely. But I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. I hope you enjoyed the first in our series, Creatures of the Night. So watch out for those trolls out there. Don't hang out around bridges and be careful when you go in the mountains, okay? And when you look at a rock, make sure that's a rock you're looking at, okay? All right. I guess let's see. I'll go, Jessica. Let's get Dennis there next. Thank you, sir. I'll put you up on that one. That's a good suggestion. I go along with it. And yeah, there you go. So that's quite a milestone, Not many people get there. That's really good. Something to be proud of. I know she is a hardworking woman. She knows her stuff. That's what I like about Jessica. I like the way she thinks. Okay. And she's my kind of people. And we're next door to each other. I'm in South Carolina. She's in Georgia. Okay. We're just across the line. But anyway, I like the way she thinks about these things. She's an incredibly smart, intelligent woman. And I can't say good enough about her because she's fantastic. Also, my great brother, Midwest Night Watcher, and Shiro are two of my best friends on here. They always know I'm around for them, and I appreciate all they do for me. And my moderators, Crystal and Midwest and Shiro, you're doing a fantastic job. I want you to know that. I really appreciate everything you're doing. And I appreciate all of you for actually giving me your support, your time, and your interest. It means a lot to me. Okay, it does. It means from the bottom of my heart, I thank you, and I appreciate. Don't ever forget your family for me. Okay, you're my podcast family. Yeah, I was thinking today. I want to say this, and I'm not trying to play on your heartstrings. Okay, but I was thinking today, all the many years that I have been involved in the paranormal, and it's been going on. It's close, well over 50 years now. I was always alone. You didn't have these great stuff like podcasts. We didn't have meetings. We didn't have people. You were out there all alone. And it's been a very lonely, lonely haul. But now it's just so great. I wish we'd have had stuff like this years and years ago. Podcasts and groups that we could talk to and people that we could connect with, just like we're doing tonight. How fantastic that would have been. At least we got it now, you know. But all the long, lonely years that I was out there alone, without all that stuff, I would have loved to have had some backup like this. So, you know what? I'm one appreciative guy. I've been there and I know the hard haul, okay? And that's why I appreciate all of you so much because, I never had that backup, okay? And I want to thank you for that. Absolutely. Um, really enjoyed the info you shared with us. Thank you, Tinkerbell. I enjoy giving it. I enjoy sharing knowledge and stuff like that. And we do redemption work. She's done many exorcisms in the past. We don't acknowledge them, but they don't like souls getting redeemed back to God. Oh, no, they don't like that. No. You're working against the bad guys, and you will pay a price for it. You will pay a price for it. Like I said, I think it was last night on the show I was talking about last night. It takes a piece of you every time. But don't worry, God will keep giving you the pieces you need. Okay? Because you're doing His work. As long as you're doing His work, He'll take care of you. Okay? Now Dennis sharing your knowledge, wisdom, thoughts, and we appreciate you. Well, thank you, Tinkerbell. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you all for being here tonight. It would have been nice for all of us to connect. Yeah, that's right. And it would have been nice. And especially if we'd have had something like computers back in the day. Like I said, I spent many lonely hours in reference rooms of libraries. I had librarians would look at me and say, "Oh no, it's that guy again. There's something weird about that guy. He stays in a reference there a lot." But you had to. You couldn't take them home with you. You had to sit there and read them or make notes on it. But now you've got this wonderful thing called a computer. It's a good tool if you use it correctly the right way. Hey, Roger. Good to have you here. But anyway, here if you need more direct backup. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I want to thank you all for being here tonight. And I'm glad we got into the trolls. And next time we'll see what we can get into now. Friday night, I'm going to be doing a couple more movie reviews. And I'm going to do a book review. And also, we're going to talk about the real reptilians. Okay? We're going to talk about the real origin of the real reptilians in our world. Okay? So you don't want to miss that. That's Friday night at 8 o'clock. Be there or be square. Okay? I appreciate it and thank you all so much for being here tonight with me. And remember, until we get together again, Veritas and Equitas, that's truth and justice. And I want to wish you all via con Dios. That's go with God. And remember, we must face the unknown and embrace the mystery. Hunting the Shadows.